फोटोग्राफर उस टाइम के जो बिहार से बिलोंग करते थे, उनको ये जिम्मेदारी दी गई कि जितने भी 22 पार्ट हैं हमारे, उन 22 पार्ट को वो फोटोग्राफ्स के माध्यम से हर पार्ट के स्टार्टिंग में इसको रखने की कोशिश करें। और बचपन की एक कहावत याद है, अब इस स्टोरी से कनेक्ट करने की कोशिश करूंगा, कि जब भी कुछ हो जाता था तो माँ बाप बोलते थे राम भरोसे राम देख लेंगे। एक्चुअल में ऐसा है, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐसा है, क्योंकि उस 22 चलचित्रों में से 12 photographs has been made by the name of the Mr. राम मनोहर, जो कि स्टूडेंट थे नंदलाल बासु साहब के। उन्होंने 12 जो है इसमें से पिक्चर्स बनाई हैं। अब वो समझ में आता है कि मम्मी पापा जो बोलते थे ना, वो बिल्कुल सही था कि राम भरोसे, हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन भी जो 12 चित्र है वो राम भरोसे ही हैं। तो राम मनोहर जी उनका नाम था, जिन्होंने इस पूरे 22 पार्ट में से 12 पार्ट्स के चलचित्र को, फोटोग्राफ्स को डिजाइन किया और इस पूरे के पूरे 22 पार्ट को डिजाइन करने का काम किया। क्योंकि किसी भी चीज को चित्रों के माध्यम से समझाना बहुत जरूरी है। हमारा ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पूरे विश्व में एक ऐसा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है जो कि लिखा हुआ है और जिसके बारे में बहुत डिफाइन बताया गया है ना। समय की विडंबना है, थोड़ी सी एक स्टोरी कुछ पंक्तियों के साथ में अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा कि भारत का संविधान हूं मैं, तुमको नहीं रहा बतलाता हूं। भारत का संविधान हूं मैं, तुमको नहीं रहा बतलाता हूं। कभी कभी मैं महाभारत और कभी गीता का सार दिखलाता हूं। कभी कभी मैं महाभारत और कभी गीता का सार दिखलाता हूं। कभी कभी मैं महाभारत, कभी गीता का सार दिखलाता हूं। तुमको मैं नए भारत की आयाम गिनाता हूं। तुमको मैं नए भारत की आयाम गिनाता हूं। कभी कभी मैं सॉरी आई फॉरगॉट दैट, बट मैं लिखा हुआ मेरा खुद का है। हाँ जी, नहीं पर्ची मेरी जेब में, पर मैं देख के बोलना नहीं चाहता, मेरी आदत नहीं हो देख करके बोलने की, समटाइम मिस हो जाता। अच्छा, पूरा सुनना चाहती हूँ, देख करके। भारत का संविधान हूं मैं, तुमको राह दिखलाता हूँ। कभी कभी मैं रामायण, कभी गीता का सार बतलाता हूँ। रावण को जलता देख मैं मंद मंद मुस्कुराता हूँ और दुर्योधन के हट को देख मैं हमेशा रोता जाता हूँ। भारत के भविष्य का सार हूं मैं, भारत के भविष्य का सार हूं मैं। वर्तमान की जलधारा हूं, कानून की लक्ष्मण रेखा हूं मैं। एकता, अखंडता, संप्रभुता की बातें तुमको दिखलाता हूं। भारत का संविधान हूं मैं, तुमको नई राह दिखलाता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, शुक्रिया। लिखा इसे याद करना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है। थैंक यू। ये सीट मेरी दे दो वापस।
मेरा एक्सपीरियंस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को लेकर बिल्कुल डिफरेंट है। और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज the typical weapon which we can very peacefully, with very patience, can use against crime. As per the most dominating principle is principle of natural justice, which provides a single law-abiding person is majority over thousands of criminals. This we have seen, though we should not repeat this, but we all know what has happened in our bar. It is our constitution that saved all of us. Sorry, I will not do. I will not. I'm saying. It's okay.
This is not the
So.
Please don't talk about it.
Okay. Now, this very restricted language I am going to say. Our constitution have given the weaker section to stand among all kind of sections. It is not among weaker sections. It is between intellectuals. It is between bar and bench. It is only constitutional powers that we are standing. And the weaker section is fighting for their rights. Once again, thanks a lot for this kind of constitution to our great Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Thank you very much.
जब भी कभी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के साथ एक वुमेन राइट्स की बात होती है, हम लोग ठीक है लड़ते जा रहे हैं। कानून में भी हमारे को हर साल कुछ ना कुछ आ जाता है, पॉक्सो आ गया, क्रिमिनल अमेंडमेंट्स आ जाती है। जब भी वुमेन के साथ होता है इश्यूज आते हैं, तो उसको बहुत ही इनफॉर्मल वे में एक मतलब छोटी सी एक पिक्चर का मैं एक बताती हूँ जिस्ट कि एक्चुअली वुमेन चाहती क्या है। कानून ले आएंगे हर बार पॉसिबल नहीं है। तो एक पिक्चर है अनुभव, अगर किसी ने देखी होगी, रितु ने देखी होगी, अमोल, उसमें संजीव कुमार बहुत फेमस डॉक्टर है, बहुत रिच है, बट उसकी वाइफ खुश नहीं रहती। तो वो कहते हैं कि मीता है उसकी वाइफ का नाम, कहते हैं मीता तुम जो है खुश नहीं लगती हो, जो है इस घर में कोठी है, ये है, नाम है, स्टेटस है, सब कुछ तो तुम्हारे पास है, तुम्हें इस घर में किस चीज़ का अभाव है। तो वो एक ही सेंटेंस में जो कहती लगाव का, मुझे इस घर में लगाव का भी अभाव है। तो कहने का भाव मेरा ये है कि हमें एज अ वुमेन जो ऐसे दिया जाता है ना, हमें वो नहीं चाहिए. एग्जैक्टली, इफ यू कैन सेंस माइंड, हमें अभाव है लगाव का, जो अफेक्शन, मतलब दान दक्षिणा में देने वाली चीजें थोड़ी है कि ये दे दिया वो दे दिया एंड वी विल बी हैप्पी. सो अगर ये सारी चीजें गिव एंड टेक से ही पूरी हो जाती तो कहीं भी अभी भी अगर मैं सोचती हूँ 75 ईयर्स के बाद भी आई स्टिल फील दैट वॉट, उससे चीजें नहीं ठीक होंगी. ऑन पेपर करने से ठीक नहीं होगा जब तक कि every person including, it's not men versus women, if every person take a pledge that we should empower ourselves, you cannot empower anybody by reservation or by giving rights and lots of अगर ऐसा होता तो और जो कहते हैं ना वर्ग में भी सिचुएशन चेंज हो जाती. तो मुझे तो आज की डेट में भी अगर वुमेन्स डे पे भी कोई बोलने के लिए बुलाए तो मेरा यही कहना होता है कि मैं उस दिन सक्सेसफुल मानूंगी हमको जब हमें ये डे सेलिब्रेट नहीं करना पड़े.
वाह.
तो वही बस इतनी छोटी सी बात. प्रेशर था कि टाइम कम है तो मैं नहीं बोल पाऊंगी, तो इसलिए मैं बहुत शॉर्ट में ही सोचा भी नहीं था कि मैं बोलूंगी सबके सामने, पर क्योंकि इच्छा थी तो शायद टाइम भी मिल गया.
Good evening, everyone. It is a privilege to stand before you on this momentous occasion as we gather to celebrate the Constitutional Day, a day that reminds us of the vision and values enshrined in the Constitution of India. This remarkable document is not just a legal framework but a cornerstone of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity that binds our nation together. We are deeply honoured by the presence of Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan, Judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, whose esteemed participation elevates this event. We are also delighted to welcome our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Upneet Lali, a leading expert in criminal justice and prison reforms. Her insights will undoubtedly provide much inspiration to us all. This event is being organized by the Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers and is a tribute to the spirit of the Constitution and reflection of our shared commitment to upholding its ideals. To formally begin with, I now invite the President of the Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers, Ms. Ritu Puj, a seasoned advocate with 29 years of experience in litigation and a former Deputy General and an Additional Advocate General. She is also a mediator, an educator and an advocate for the women's and children's rights. Ma'am, please come and address the welcome.
Honorable Ms. Justice Harpreet Kaur. Mic नहीं चल रहा? Thanks, sir. You work without it. Honorable Ms. Harpreet Kaur Jeevan, Judge, Punjab and Haryana High Court. Dr. Upneet Lali, Deputy Director, Institute of Correctional Administration. Office bearers of the Federation, members of Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers, my colleagues, young and budding advocates, I am able to see many. We are delighted to welcome you all on this special occasion of celebration of 75th Constitution Day. We hope that every minute of your precious time that you have spared today would be enriching. It's an immense pleasure and honor for us today to have amongst us Honorable Ms. Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan, who is interpreting the provisions of Constitution with perfection and leaving no stone unturned in securing the objectives laid down under the preamble. I also welcome Dr. Upneet Lali on behalf of Federation, who has graciously accepted our invitation on such short notice. We are sure that her valuable insight would fill our bag of knowledge even more.
And I would specially rather thank also Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan also, because yesterday during tea break we went to her, requested her, and she accepted that. We are really thankful to that, ma'am. About Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers, I'll just give a very small brief about it. We started on 30th of April 23, just 1 year and 7 months, less than 2 years. We are affiliated to All India Federation of Women Lawyers, which is further connected to FIDA, which is International Federation of Women Lawyers. The object of the federation is to promote rights and welfare of women and children, particularly through legislation. Just to achieve this object, we hold conferences, awareness programs, legal aid clinics for women groups. We even share our knowledge, we share amongst us also, we share important judgments, important events which are with regard to this. Then we visit schools and colleges also in this regard. I think every second and fourth Saturday, there is a group out of our federation which we go to schools or colleges. Now with universities we are yet to start, that we tell them about POCSO and juvenile laws. Then in the end, I would request all the members, lady members who are not formally our members, please become our member. Together we can achieve anything. Thank you so much.
It is my honor to introduce Dr. Upneet Lali, Deputy Director of Institute of Correctional Administration, Chandigarh, a psychologist, a law graduate, and global advocate for prison reforms and restorative justice. Dr. Lali has shaped policies, trained thousands, and represents India on the Global Advisory Council of Restorative Justice International. Please welcome Dr. Upneet Lali.
First of all, I'd like to thank Madam Ritu for inviting me, along with Dr. Deepa, for inviting me to be a part of your celebrations of the Constitution Day. And indeed, looking at all the faces in this room, I'm really delighted that majority are women, but we also have men. So it's not just exclusivity, but it's inclusion that I'm seeing, and the diversity in terms of age groups and gender that one sees in this room. And you all belong to a profession with which I have some links, because and some association. My father was also judge of the High Court, and when I was to join, either psychology or law, so my father was not too keen that I do law. But I ended up doing law later. And much later, you realize how patriarchy also affects your career choices and decisions in what you will do in life. So it's been a journey in which I've integrated psychology and law, but today I will be discussing about the Constitution. And I was told to talk about a little about women's rights issues, but I think it will be more of an interaction and, also just some thought-provoking ideas that we have, and in terms of assessment. Dr. Ambedkar had said that Constitution, and you're all lawyers out here, and he was a lawyer himself, is not merely a lawyer's document. We all use this document, definitely, to enforce rights. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle of life. And its spirit is always the spirit of age. So its spirit of age has changed from what it was about 75 years ago, and today we look at the Constitution in the same way and also slightly in a different way altogether. We pride ourselves, of course, I don't want to say in terms of what we have. It's not just a document, but when we look at the spirit, and I'm reminded of my teacher and constitutional law was my favorite subject because Professor Jaswal taught that. And we all never missed his class. I'm sure many of you would have been in students. It was a class we never ever missed. And we begin to know, in terms of looking at where we are, let us look at where we are in terms of the principles and the values as reflected in the preamble of the Constitution. And the preamble of the Constitution talks about we the people. Where do we the people stand, and who do we think are we the people? So that's a reflection in terms of what we are today as a society. And if we look at the values that are inherent, and those are the goals that we aspire for as a nation: justice, social, economic, political. Social justice. How far we've achieved the goals and how far we still are as yet. Economic. Do women still have, is there still a discrimination against women in terms of economic justice? How easy is it for them to get their inheritance rights? And if they approach the court, how much of family life is disturbed? And what are the pressures that women face? So it's not just in terms of values, but it's also in terms of the decisions that are made. They're all subset of the social cultural strata that we are in from. And political justice. So we have the amendment in the law in terms of representation of women, but in terms of its implementation at the parliament, it is still delayed. And we've all seen the varied scenes in parliament in terms of giving this. Is it a mere charity, as Dr. Deepa saying? I mean, what do you want? And one of our we had 15 women members who were there as a part of the Constituent Assembly, and one of them was strongly against reservation because she thought that would not be, something that would be a vehicle of change. But we had to revert back to that, and different countries have followed, different models, whether in terms of positions and reservations in the party itself, and consequently, still more numbers, but at the High Court level and at the Supreme Court level, the percentages are much less. Not that, when you're looking at in terms of merit, so when you are having competitive exams, you find that now more and more women, and almost about 40% of them, I think, if I'm not too wrong, are now there as a part of the subordinate judiciary. But in terms of equal opportunities, when you look at that part of it, and you have had a whole lot of case laws from C.S. Muthamma, the first women foreign services officer, to Charulata case, where you're looking at women in the film industry as makeup artists, a whole range of issues, and to the defense forces as a part of the territorial army, and the Supreme Court has, looked at that and said that there should be equality of opportunities. But still you will find, and even when it's implemented at times, whether it's in the police department, I'll say, we still have a lot of times not only the glass ceiling, that at a certain level you can't be the head of the police department or you can't be the commissioner. It's still broken a lot of ground in the police services. There's also that part of it which is the glass cliff, which is you give them a position where in any case they may, it's a tricky situation, it's a messy situation, they may end up failing, and then it'll prove that women are not capable. And if they end up doing it, then it's all right. So she was, anyone could have done it. So those are the kind of, psychological barriers that exist and the structural barriers that exist. So equality of status and of opportunity. Look around you and see, in terms of the top positions, and it's globally, it's not just in our country, the top positions, who occupies those? Are women less talented or less qualified or whatever? How many end up doing law and how many end up joining law? How many end up, except in the medical field where you will have women practicing. In the law field, it's still primarily a field where you can have much more in numbers. So, and to promote fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Now, the dignity is something that is really, it may be difficult to define, but it's so easy to understand. It's so easy to feel. And if I were to ask you, if you just reflect on when did you feel most hurt? When did you feel there is something that within you that still irks? It will always relate it to something where you were not treated well, where your dignity was affected. So if you were to look at that part of it, and looking at that part, so Article 21 of the Constitution of India, when we talk of right to life, and right to life does not mean the mere animal existence, but right to live with dignity. It connotes so many things. There is such a wide range of things, and whether it was in terms of, the Vishaka judgment, which spoke about, women's right to live with dignity, and also in terms of equal opportunities at the workplace and a safe workplace. And moving on from that, I'll just reflect, because you mentioned you've been dealing with sexual harassment issues. Now, being a part of some of the committees at various academic and as well as organizational structures, what I find that a lot of women, even in positions where they do have a power, will hesitate to complain. Will hesitate because there are still barriers that exist. There still may not be support that exists. So the dignity of the individual is definitely affected. And there are still many grounds to cover to have an atmosphere where we are assured of dignity, beginning with safety features. How safe do we feel? How safe are our public places? And we have the various articles. Of course, you're all persons who are practicing law. And we've used the instrumentalities of the law to actually guarantee ourselves the fundamental rights that have been given in the Constitution. And how do we achieve? The Constitution will remain a document unless and until there is a corresponding legislation that may happen to fill these vacuums, along with its effective implementation. We are very easy in drafting laws. India is the highest, in fact, in terms of gross legislative product. But in terms of implementation, I think it should be very important in terms of what are the resources we need, in terms of material and financial resources needed to implement laws. That should also be really looked at, and that's something that you should also be looking at. How many lawyers, how many judges you will need in terms of these cases that come up. How do you have an oversight mechanism? POSH Act remains largely unimplemented because there is no really oversight mechanism in terms of what to do if case somebody hasn't done that, and where is the implementation take place, where is the monitoring taking place. So, meaning to say that yes, with all that we're looking at, ultimately it depends on all of us, because we are going to be the implementers and we are going to be the ones who are going to be the instruments of change. And if we are all guided by our constitutional values, and the preamble is definitely something that is like, a prayer for the nation, and it's a prayer for ourselves. And we each remind ourselves about this when we step into our work territory. It will never let us down, and we'll always have the highest aspirational goals and help us to achieve those highest aspirational goals, so that our nation is something that where every person gets, and in terms of looking at the gross happiness index, if all these are fulfilled, we'll be the nation with the highest gross happiness index. So with these words, I will end my small talk. Thank you so much.
West Ma'am, Honorable Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan. She was born on 4th June 1966, completed her education in Chandigarh, earning BSc, B.Ed and LLB from Punjab University. She joined judiciary as PCS Judicial in Punjab in 1991 with her first posting in Ludhiana. She has served in various roles, including Presiding Officer of Punjab State Appellate Tribunal, Director of Judicial Academy, and Member Secretary of Punjab State Legal Services Authority. Trained mediator, she has contributed to juvenile justice initiatives. She was elevated as Additional Judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court on 2nd November 2022. She has made her mark in a short span by delivering landmark judgments. She's part of the judgment, such as declaring 75% reservation for local unconstitutional and affirming that once a daughter, always a daughter, thus ensuring married daughters are not excluded from compassionate appointments. I request Ma'am, can you please share some insights? Maybe you can sit here and if you're comfortable. Right. Thank you.
Very good afternoon. Madam Ritu Punj, President of the Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers. My dear brother legal practitioners, my dear sister legal practitioners. So it's a great honor and privilege to be here with you to celebrate Constitution Day with all of you. The adoption of Indian Constitution in 1949 by the Constituent Assembly. So it reminds me that India was established as sovereign democratic republic. These words are wide. We are not here to read books. I was told to share a few things with regard to my experiences. But I felt that today's day I must salute the Constitution, the Constituent Assembly, field geographical areas. Our forefathers had so much insight that they had given us this holy book, which is now as holy to us as any other holy book, which reminds us for our fundamental rights, at the same time fundamental duties. So my salute to the forefathers for giving us this book on this day. I would like to highlight that enforcement of fundamental rights of such persons who cannot fight and defend themselves, who cannot speak for themselves, is the most challenging task for all of us. On today's occasion, I would like to say a few words for one segment of the society who cannot speak for themselves, and all of us being an instrumental for enforcement of fundamental rights are here. We can hold hands to that segment, and they are our children. So our Constitution provides various rights to child, including right to equality, right against discrimination, personal liberty and due process of law, right of being protected from being trafficked and forced into labor. It also includes right of weaker sections of people to be protected from social injustice and from exploitation, right to free and compulsory education for all children from 6 to 14-year age group. Apart from this, our Constitution also provides right to be protected from any hazardous employment till they are aged 14. They have a right to be protected from being abused and forced by their economic necessity to enter into such occupation which are not suited to their age. A right to equality with regard to opportunity to develop in a healthy manner. All these are guaranteed under the Constitution. Despite having such rights, the children who are in need of care and protection, do we really think that they are able to reach to these rights whenever they need, which are the instrumentalities that help them. Or on today's day, I would like all of us to think, do we really help them to connect them with their rights at home? Somebody may slap a child, and if the mother or the father will say, don't do this, otherwise it's natural, otherwise they will not be disciplined. So, the child cannot say that I am not only physically hurt, my psyche in my childhood, my emotional needs. That's why I was saying something and I have been stopped by giving a slap. So these are very few sensitive things. All of you being into the legal practitioner and knowing about all child rights, do we really assist children that they actually get these fundamental rights which they have? So I would like to share one experience. All of us always get so many opportunities where you can hold hands for people, for such segment of people who cannot reach to law. There was a train, I will share an incident, an experience, not from the point of view to tell that something was done, but from the point of view that how the rights of children, they get violated, they get suppressed when there is a distress situation. So there was a train mishap at Dussehra at Amritsar. So on receiving information, I reached there early in the morning. So we had teams, we collected teams. There were three, I came to know that there are 3 hospitals where the injuries are being taken up. So we had camps night, she's unconscious and not able to speak. And then the doctor told me the name of that lady as X. So it was my childhood name, X, so it just remembered me. So ultimately I met around 100 patients in that hospital, again went to another hospital. So the doctor told me in the other hospital that we have done a remarkable work. There is a child who lost his parents and we have handed over the child to our neighbor, and now the child is going to UP to the parental home. So I got, my engineers got alert. I said, who is the child and where is the child? So they told me they're just sitting in the outside in a cab. So I just went outside, talked to the person, how the child belongs to you. So the couple said that they are neighbor of the child. The entire family is, there are some mishap, so they have lost their life. So I talked to the doctor that, I called the child inside, both of the couple also came inside the hospital. I talked to the doctor that, how did you hand over the child to this person? The doctor said they have brought the birth certificate of the child. I said, from where they have brought the birth certificate of the child? They said they are neighbor, they opened the door and they brought the birth certificate. I said, just show me the birth certificate. So when they had shown the birth certificate to me, the name of the mother was X. So I thought maybe this child belongs to that lady X, who is now presently admitted in other hospital. So I said that I being so and so is having the custody of this child. So I took the child from them. So they were after me. I said nothing doing. Now I am the legal custodian of this child till some process is done. So I went to the medical hospital Amritsar. They also followed me there. I said no worries. So when I went there with the child and I kept the child near the bed of that lady. So the child hugged mother and the mother regained consciousness. After that, so then there was no questions that about the identity of the child. So on that day, we have united 2 more children with their lost parents. They were in different hospitals, being taken away by different people. So another child, there was a 3rd hospital, civil hospital at Amritsar. So
So after this reunion, when I went to the third hospital, there was a lady. She was trying to make a complaint. The doctor is not listening to me. So I said, what is the issue with the child? She said there is a head injury to the child. I said, whose child is the baby? The lady said, हम कल से इसको पाल रहे हैं, हमारा बच्चा है ये. So I said, आपको कहाँ से मिला? वो कहती है कि जब ट्रेन ऐसे आई तो इसकी मदर बीच में कट गई, तो ये बच्चा ऐसे हमारी गोद में भगवान ने दे दिया. So the physique of that lady was, and the body manner was apparent that she is going to send away the child somewhere else. So I said, can I see where is the injury? So I snatched the child from that lady. And that lady followed me. No, you can't take away my child. I said, okay, I'll tell you where I'm going to take the child. So I took the child to the other hospital, got the MRI done, CT done, and there was a head injury to the child. So what the camps were doing, they were preparing list of the patients in the hospital in all 3 hospitals. So by the end of the day, we got an information from some of the team members that there is a lady, she's crying that her son is missing. So we took a chance, we took the child to that lady, and that lady recognized that child. So that was the second union. And third one was, by the end of the day, the husband and the wife, the husband along with the child was admitted in one hospital, whereas the mother was admitted in a second hospital. So the relatives, they were trying to find out, they could find out the lady and not the child and the husband. So from the mobile phone numbers, we could connect both of them as well as the family. So this is not a story, I am just trying to highlight that our people, they cannot speak about the grievances, they cannot come to us for realizing their rights. So we have to hold their hands. So I would request on this Constitutional Day that all of us join and we stand for child rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Your insights and expertise made a significant impact on all of us, and we are grateful for your valuable contributions. Joining us today is also Mr. Subir Sidhu, Member Bar Council of India, whose unwavering commitment to the legal profession has added tremendous value to the celebrations that we are holding today. I invite Mr. Sidhu to address the gathering.
Honorable Justice Jeevan, Dr. Walia,
Mike
Madam Ritu, Kanu, Sumati, and the entire women lawyers team, Federation of Women Lawyers team. Although Justice Jeevan has summed up so beautifully, I think there is no requirement for me to say anything on the topic and how the Constitution was enacted and what all values should we keep in mind. But just sharing my thoughts on how those 166 days when the Constituent Assembly sat and how they must have deliberated, I think it would have been similar what we are doing today. The memories of that time we still see in the document that we so dearly hold in our hearts, and the courts on a daily basis they defend the same. And I must appreciate, my lord, Jinanabadi Soni Galke, my brother and sister practitioners. So this is one step closer to bringing bar and bench closer. And the presence of the Joint Secretary and the Treasurer of the bar today is also a testament that in every such academic event which the Federation of Women Lawyers, they do, or any other organization does, the bar is also with us. So with this, I congratulate the entire body, and I'm again thankful and grateful to Justice Jeevan for having spared, and of course to Justice Dr. Walia. Thank you.
The Secretary of the Punjab and Haryana Federation of Women Lawyers, Dr. Kanu Sharma, a legal professional with over 15 years of advocacy experience and former Joint Secretary.
Good afternoon, one and all. First of all, I am privileged to propose a vote of thanks for everyone. First of all, I am deeply saddened by the sad demise of Justice Kuldeep Singh, whom I had known from since my childhood because of the legacy my father had given. I extend deepest condolences to the family, for the entire family, so that they have strength to be at their best. Now to start with the vote of thanks, thank you so much everyone. Thanks to the audience first, because I was once told that your success is measured by a number of people sitting in the audience. So today, congratulations everyone that we are a success, we are a huge success. And now I would like to extend my gratitude to Madam Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan. Thank you, ma'am, for such insightful sessions. Thank you for sharing such experiences, and I would like to invite her story for my magazine, Zuban, because definitely through her story we can see that how we can voice, children like such, and beautiful story narrated by her. Then I would like to thank Madam Pinder Lali ji for addressing the bar and sharing her experience and explaining the most beautiful document, that is preamble. And thank you, Deepa ma'am, for inviting them all here. And last but not the least, Madam Ritu Punj, and because she has given me this opportunity. And of course, I am thankful to the audience, and thanks Mr. Subir Sidhu, which was a surprise visit for me at least. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for addressing the bar. And last but not the least, I would like to end with a note saying that remember one thing, girls, ladies, the women lawyers for whom I've started this federation, that sky is pink. Remember this, follow your dreams and don't be afraid. The best protection you can give to yourself is courage. So don't be afraid of anything, be brave. Thank you so much. Please enjoy your tea.
May I now request Madam Sharmila Sharma and Madam Praveen Daya to please accompany Madam Ritu Punj to present a small token of appreciation to our Honorable Justice Harpreet Kaur Jeevan. Thank you so much, ma'am. May I now request Madam Monica Mehta, Madam Gurnam Kaur and Madam Manjeet Kaur to please accompany Madam Ritu Punj to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Rupinder. Please, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I apologize.
Manjeet, you too?
Thank you.
It's an honor for us to be here, yes.
Thank you.
Manjeet,
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Subir, you too?
बेटा जी पीछे आइए, थोड़ी हाइट बहुत साफ दी हाइट का फायदा लीजिए सर, इन द सेंटर प्लीज. थैंक यू. थैंक यू.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Upneet Lali.
वैसे प्रोग्राम खत्म हो गया. मैं दो शब्द कहना चाहूँगी. We are from district court. Myself, Manjeet, Sarvjit, Pranita. So ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ 1995 profession, ਜੱਜ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਉਦੋਂ judicial magistrate ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੋਰਟ 'ਚ. So we used to see your lordship with great hopes. ਔਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਰੌਸ਼ਨੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਇਹ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਫੀਮੇਲ ਲਾਇਰਸ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ. ਔਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮ ਪਾਸ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ, ਬਟ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ 'ਚ ਮੈਡਮ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਮ ਫੀਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ.